I know that I often say begin with the end in mind. And I do wish that I could sit here and tell you, truthfully, that I coined that phrase, but I did not. People have been using that phrase for eons. Eons and eons. And for good reason. I mean, it's short, sweet, to the point, and it absolutely covers all the bases. But whenever I say begin with the end in mind, there is a big old but to that. I say begin with the end in mind, but don't dictate exactly how and when things will happen. Your end is obviously your end goal. Obviously, we all want to be financially secure. We all want to be happy, healthy, wealthy, and free. Well, those are all great goals. And that's exactly what we need to be shooting for, but we also need to be a little bit more specific. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. We need to be more specific in that what we want our lives to look like. Now, how we get there and when we get there, that's not necessarily up to us. It would be very similar to trying to push a boulder up a hill. It's not necessarily the way you'd want to do it. Your energy could be better spent on other things. There's a lot of people who, whenever they do finally figure out what their goal is, what they want, how they want things to be at the end of this thing that they're doing, they also want to dictate exactly how and when it's going to happen. You know, they want to put a time limit on it. And I realize that we do want to put a certain time on some things, but with the big picture, no, we can't do that. We can't dictate. I was in active addiction for 10 years. And now I'm going to get clean and I'm going to maybe, take Suboxone. And I'm going to do that for 6 months and then I'm going to wean off. And within a year, I'm going to be free of that and everything's going to be great. We know that things happen that are unexpected, good and bad. Sometimes things happen that we would have never guessed in a million years would happen, good and bad. Sometimes people will come to you with a job opportunity that you would have never, ever guessed. And it may be the greatest thing that ever happened to you. Or the opposite could be true. It's just that so many people want to write out exactly to the letter how things are going to go. And then the problem with that is whenever life happens and other things happen, and it throws a monkey wrench into your whole equation, then you get frustrated. Then, screw it, what's the use? That kind of thing. Plus, it's just also just that's where the magic happens, is in the in-between. We can't predict what's going to happen. But what we can do is set ourselves on a trajectory. We write out our goals. We stay focused on our goals. We adjust our goals when it's necessary to do so. And we also do the work. What's the work? Well, when it comes to getting sober, you have to do the work. Maybe it's going to meetings, taking your meds, whatever your treatment plan is. You may want to be a millionaire. Okay, great. So let's set that as a goal. And do it in the present tense, of course. I am a millionaire. And then we do have to put in place things that are going to make that possible, because there's a lot of people who are kind of into the whole law of attraction, which I'm a very big fan of, and then manifesting and all that stuff, that think that all they have to do is focus on their goal and it's going to happen. So what do? They sit back on their couch and focus on being a millionaire, and then what do you know? Nothing happens. Well, of course not. You didn't put the wheels in motion. So start a business, do something with yourself so that the Creator, God, universe, whatever you want to refer to it as, has a way to deliver that to you. Now, I know some people may say, Matt, the universe doesn't need anything. The universe can do anything it wants, or God can do anything he wants to do. Very true. But we've got to do the work. I also have a goal of being financially well off. Of course, who doesn't want to be? But then we got to really get it down to what it really means. Well, for me, it really means freedom. I want to be free to do what I love to do. That's help people. How I intend to get there is not my concern. Thank God, because I wouldn't be able to tell you. I know that what I am going to do is be of service to people through this podcast. I do a lot of writing as well. Anyway, so I intend to be of service to people, and I do have my goal. I would love to be a millionaire. Yes. Now, how I get there, I don't know. There's so many ways that I could arrive at that. And one thing I'm certain of is I will arrive there, probably sooner than expected. That would be great. All I know is I'm going to focus on two things: what my end goal is and being of service to people. Now, especially with us addicts, we have a lot of work to do in that we have our programming in our minds has been geared towards drugs and addiction for so long. It's going to take a lot to reprogram. Now, it can be done, of course. People do it every day. But we've got to reprogram ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why I say we can't dictate exactly how things are going to go. Because the first thing we got to do is we've got to get our minds right. We've got to start thinking in the right way. We've got to stop making our subconscious tempt us. We got to reprogram. We got to get past our triggers, such as stress, loss, guilt, whatever. When they hit us, we don't really see it coming. It just kind of happens, doesn't it? We've got to get our minds reprogrammed so that we aren't thinking in that way. We got to be thinking in abundance. And if that takes a year on maintenance medicines, or if it takes the rest of your life on maintenance meds, that's fine. Stop putting time limits on the things that are going to help you. Stop, you didn't have a time limit on anything else, so I'll put a time limit on this. Especially with triggers. I mean, there's so many triggers everywhere, especially with social media now. With social media, you can log onto your Facebook or your Instagram or Twitter or whatever you want to log on to, and it wouldn't be really hard to find a trigger, now would it? Because there's always going to be someone on there that's going to say something that could trigger you. And that's the thing, we got to get reprogrammed in our subconscious mind so that we don't fall victim to that so easily. With social media in particular, narcissism is at an all-time high. So many people are so focused on themselves only, and they're just not willing to take into consideration other people's feelings. They're not willing to take into consideration other people's needs. It's all about me, me, me. Look at me. I mean, go to your Facebook right now. Open it up, and you will see people posting about all this victimhood. And then if you were to say anything to them about it, what are they going to say? Well, you don't know what I've been through. I've recently had to deal with narcissism in my own family, and I'm not special here. I know we all do. But especially when there's a loss in the family, which there recently was, and it drove a wedge between certain factions, I guess, of the family. And all of a sudden people start coming out of the woodwork who didn't seem to be too involved before, but now all of a sudden they are. And they want to act like other people don't know what they're going through. And it's frustrating because it's like, look, we're all a family here. We're trying to be there for each other. But for whatever reason, we're allowing a wedge to be driven in between us. And that's not good. Because we also got to remember there are other people involved here. And all of these people have feelings too. And all of these people have issues. All these people have bills. They have health concerns. They have, you name it, same issues you have. You see, when it comes to those kinds of things, none of us are special. We all have issues. And we all got to keep in mind that other people have issues. We certainly don't want to perpetuate someone's issue. In other words, let's not go around triggering other people. And I'm not just talking about drugs. It can be anything. Because addiction shows many, many forms. We know this. So anyway, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of personal issues. It's just that we have to keep in mind other people's feelings. And we have to be mindful of the fact that there are a lot of people out there that are not going to be mindful of our needs. So we have to guard ourselves. We have to reprogram our minds so that triggers don't occur like they used to. We have to keep in mind that there are people out there who are not quite there as far as their sense of service to others. They are going to say whatever it is that is on their mind, regardless of who it hurts and how it hurts them. And some people actually go out looking for a fight. And you see it all the time. They'll put something on social media, and it's like, why would you post something like that? Why would you take that much time, that much energy, and post something that just negative? Why would you do that? For one, they're attention starved, and two, they're probably thinking that they have a point to make, as if anybody's listening. Nobody's usually going to listen when it comes to things like that. All they are doing is really showing that they need some space. So since we know that other people are going to do things, we have to be prepared for that. We have to make sure that we are not triggered or tempted in any way. We got to make sure we don't go places that we shouldn't go to, because temptation can be out around every corner. And true, we can't always do anything about that. We can't help it if some drug dealer approaches you at a gas station. You know, that's happened to me. Gosh, it happened to me. I was at a little store in Cincinnati, and I was just buying a drink. And this dude walks up to me, holds his hand out, and of course, I guess just instinctively, I hold my hand out, and I'm like, yeah, what's up? And so he put something in my hand. It's just a wadded up piece of paper. And I already knew the drill. He's like, that's a free sample. Give me a call. I'm like, I hand it back to him, like, no, dude, I'm good. By the way, I was fresh out of rehab here. So, I was very proud of myself because I hadn't been out of rehab. I spent about 4 months in rehab, and I was probably out a week or two when this happened. So I handed it back to him. Nah, man, I'm good. I don't need that. No, man, no, it's free. It's free. You can, just give me a call if you like it. I'm like, I don't think you understand. I don't want it. And then he kind of was like, oh shit, okay. So he takes it back and takes off. Well, what it was a piece of paper, no doubt with his number written on it, and a piece of heroin in there. So we know that we can't always control those things, but we do have to be prepared for when those things do happen. That's why we can't put time limits on how long it's going to take us to get together, because we've got to make sure we can do it right in that situation. Because just like with that situation right there, I could answer that. I could handle that situation right every single time except once. 100 times, I do it right 99. The one is all it takes. That's why we've always got to be on guard. And we got to take whatever help we can get. And we got to stop being so prideful and understand we've got an entire mindset to reprogram. There was a time when I would have went out and looking for somebody to give me free samples, free testers, of dope. I mean, there was a time you could go out and just get free testers and get a lot and be set for the day or whatever. We go from a full-time addict to newly sober and then onward. Like a full-time addict. Okay, for example, as a full-time addict, I was always looking for drugs, no matter what. Here's a good story. Well, I don't know if it's good, but it's a good example. There was a particular day that I was using heroin, and I had plenty of it at that time, and I was good. I think I had just recently gotten high. Someone had given me one of those little Subutex, one of the little white round pills with the quarter moon on the back or whatever. And at the time, everybody was saying, oh, that's just Subutex. You can take those with heroin and it won't make you sick. Yeah, okay. People always said, oh, that's what they give to pregnant women because they can't have the blocker. So therefore, that particular type doesn't have the blocker in it. So therefore, it won't put you into precipitated withdrawals. Okay, sounds good. Well, so what did I do? Being an addict, and remember, keep in mind, I didn't even need it. I was already high. I'd already used. I wasn't sick. Didn't need anything. So what did I do? I crushed it up, put the water to it, shot it. And at first, I didn't feel anything. I was like, well, that's odd. I don't feel anything. Nothing. And then after about, I don't know, seemed like a long time, probably more like 3 or 4 minutes, started hitting me. I was like, oh, wait, yeah, okay, I feel something now. Finally. Well, within 10 minutes, I was in a full-blown anxiety attack. Was absolutely 100% certain I was going to die. Probably the worst withdrawal symptoms I've ever had. Well, maybe not, but for it to come on that fast, within 10 minutes, I was gone from I was good, I was actually high, to I was completely sick and a full-blown panic. And it was in the dead of summer, freezing to death, shivering and shaking. Outside walking around in the heat, trying to calm myself down, try to get some fresh air, walk it off, whatever. Nothing was working. I had a little bit of a dope left, so I'm like, I've got to reverse the effect of this. I've got to go and shoot some dope and reverse this, because everything that they said about it it's a blocker. It doesn't have the blocker in it. It won't, make you sick. Bullshit, because that's not true. Anyway, so I fixed up the what bit of heroin I had left, and I could not hit a vein to save my life. Why? Because where I was so sick and so cold, all my veins had shrunk up to nothing. So I had to call a friend to come over and do it. So we did, and I got a little bit better. We had to go and get more. The plan wasn't to go probably till the next morning. I'm not sure. It's been years ago now. The point is that addicted mindset of mine thought, always doing more. Didn't know moderation. Even if it were true about the blocker part not being in it and it would make you sick, I had no reason to take that then. None. Besides the fact that it was just there. And that's just what we do. So that's part of the mindset that was built into me. That's part of the programming that I'd put in myself. There was no question that I was going to do it. Of course I was going to do it. I was going to do it right now. Right? I mean, we've all been there. We know. So getting over that mindset, that programming, that takes a lot to get from the point where you're just thinking in that way. That line of thinking. Just not even those particular decisions. Just the line of thinking that I had made to arrive at, this is what I'm going to do. We have a lot of programming to overcome. But the good news is we're still alive and we can do it. And we should do it for ourselves. And we can also do it to honor those who don't have that opportunity. The ones that we've lost along the way. And we know we've lost a lot. There's been so many people, and especially nowadays, there's so many people overdosing. There's people overdosing that didn't even intend to do an opioid. I recently lost a family member who was doing another drug and overdosed on fentanyl. And this person wouldn't even wanted to do that. That's the crazy part. Oh, and I have another, well, not necessarily a family member, but somebody who I'm close with. I'm not close with the person. It's somebody who I am very close with, a member of their family. Bought a bag of weed, just a bag of pot off the street, and had a fentanyl overdose. How do you do that? How does that happen? How do you go out and just buy a bag of weed, just a bag of pot, just a simple bag of pot, roll a joint or whatever, smoke a bowl, whatever, and have a fentanyl overdose? That's how dangerous things are these days. Now, thankfully, in the case of the pot, the guy survived. Thankfully. Still overdosed, but it didn't take a whole lot because he's never done that kind of thing. That's why you've got to be so careful. Like, with regards to weed, I don't have a problem with people getting high, and I realize that's a big, I just committed a sin right there in the eyes of the anonymous people who think that anything, maintenance meds or anything that's not coffee and cigarettes, which are, by the way, are stimulants. Anyway, that think that anything that's not coffee or cigarettes is a relapse. If somebody smokes a bowl, they relapsed. I don't agree with that. I'm not going to necessarily encourage people to smoke weed. I don't particularly do it. I don't do it. But if that's what you do, that's what you do. It's kind of funny. I really can't. I mean, I used to intravenously use heroin and cocaine together, and I was fine. I could function. I could do anything. I was fine. But if I took like 3 or 4 hits off a joint, oh my God, watch out. I was laid out. Couldn't even get up off the couch. I wouldn't even get up and go to the bathroom. And it kind of blew people away. They'd be like, how is it that you can do all this, but you can't even take a couple hits off a joint, man? Like, I don't know. Something as basic and simple as marijuana. I couldn't do it. And it still kind of does me that way because I've had a couple of the gummies, and it just, it doesn't make me have a panic attack. I like it just fine. It's just I'm worthless when I do that. And for all those people who think it's a gateway drug, I don't believe that at all either. Because even when I have done something, it didn't make me think, that was okay, but I really would like it if I could do this. Of course, maybe that's part of where you are in your sobriety. I've got a pretty good amount of clean time in now. So would I advise someone to go out and eat a bunch of edibles or smoke some weed? No, I would never advise that. I'm not going to look down on you for it either, though. It's whatever you want to do. As long as you know your body. You know your addiction. If it's a gateway drug, then don't open the gate. It's that simple. Each person's sobriety is their own, and it's unique. So, here we go. So let's get some victories. Small victories. Small victories. Let's set some small, achievable goals. Something we know we can do. Just to build some momentum. I don't care if your goal is to mow 3 lawns this week for somebody. An elderly man who can't mow his lawn. Get some momentum going. Get something going in the right direction. If your goal this week is to, I don't know, let's take somebody who does DoorDash, for example. If your goal this week is to get 50 deliveries in, that's doable. That's very doable. Let's do it. Do it. And track them. Check those off. And at the end of the week, when you're able to check off, I got 50 deliveries in, check that off. That's momentum. That is momentum that you can ride. Get that wave going. Keep the end goal in mind, of course. We know this. Keep the end goal in mind and keep plugging away and doing the things that you know to do. Opportunities will present themselves. Things will just fall out of the sky into your lap. Almost literally. Gosh, I don't know who it was. Someone... If anybody knows, you can message me, comment, whatever. Said, it's a quote that I heard. It says, "Life is what happens when we're making other plans." That's pretty powerful. Really think about it. Life is what happens when we're making other plans. Now, we can make all these plans we want, but things happen. And we've got to be flexible. We've got to be like water. Choose the path of least resistance. Just go with the flow. However pick your slogan. It doesn't matter. Point is, we've got to set our goal out there, what our intention is. Some people you've probably heard this, set your intention. Or go into this and set your intention to this, or whatever. An intention that's set is a goal. If your goal is to make $1 million, great. If your goal is to pay off your mother's house, whatever the goal may be, set it and then get busy being of service. But make it happen on your terms. And I've often said it before too. That's one of the things I have with some of the anonymous people. They say to live life on life's terms. I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one. Because I do know that there are times in our lives that we have to live life on life's terms. But I also know that we don't accept mediocrity. We live life on our own terms. We set our own intentions. We set our goals. We begin with the end in mind. And we stay ever so grateful. Every day you wake up, really be thankful for the opportunities. And I know that some people say, "Oh, be thankful that you woke up today." And that's great. That is true. But it goes a little further than that. It's like, well, be thankful because I'm alive and awake today because you don't know what's waiting for you. There could be some amazing things happen to you today. Let it happen. You are worthy. You deserve it. Don't sabotage yourself. Don't think you're not ready for it. Don't think that you're not deserving, because you absolutely are. You deserve all the good things that come to you. You deserve more than what's coming to you. Be grateful for all the great things that happen and allow other great things to happen. With regards to riding the wave of momentum, yes, absolutely. Every time something good happens, thank you. We've got to be eternally grateful. And this wouldn't be a My Sober Addiction episode if I didn't mention journaling. Always keep writing in your journal. As a matter of fact, it's great to write in your journal, especially if you don't know what you want to do, because that's where you may find it. A lot of people are like, "I don't know what I'm passionate about." And actually, that's understandable, because We were so passionate about using drugs for so long that we've forgotten what else there is. And now that we've gotten over that, we don't do that anymore. Some people are just kind of numb. They're just kind of like, well, I don't really know. I used to do this. I used to play music, or I used to do this or whatever. But now I don't know. But now I don't know what I want to do. Well, that's okay. In fact, that's great, because now you're open to any possibility. Now you can be grateful for what you do have, your sobriety, the opportunity to make a great life, the opportunity to repair relationships, get close with your family again or whoever. You're actually in a pretty good position. You're actually in a great position. I know that most people have family who maybe turn their back on you, but really, can you blame them? Good news is now you're back. And in most cases, that's all they ever wanted. And once you're back, they are more than happy to forgive you and move on. So anyway, journaling is great. I would not be me if I didn't mention that. Just suspend judgment for 10 minutes. Don't judge yourself. Don't limit yourself. Just get a pen and your notebook and just write. Write whatever comes out. And most of it's going to be very mundane and boring. That's fine too. Once in a while, some stroke of brilliance is going to come out. You're going to be like, wow. That's where you're going to find what you love. This is Matt Stevens, and this is my sober addiction. I realized it had been a few weeks since I posted an episode. I've been doing a lot of other things behind the scenes with the podcast, trying to get it on some more platforms. And I've got some other things I'm working on. And I'm very excited about it. And I'm excited to share it with you. But right now is not the time. So when that happens, I will be sharing this bit of news. And it's very exciting for me. And I know that you'll be happy for me. And if there's anything I can do to help you, please understand I'm trying to be of service. So, love y'all. Thank you for listening.